Hey, everybody, welcome back to Backyard Blue. We're just two brothers talking sports and whatever else comes our way. I'm brother number one by birth order anyway. That's me. I'm Blake Miller. Students call me Mr. Miller. Mama calls me Moose. Brother number two on the other side of the screen, my brother from the same mother. That is Hunter Borland, the hunt daddy, the head hunter, and my daughter calls him Hump. Hump, what is happening?
Not much, not much. Just ready to get to it. Ready to talk about what are we doing? The NFC South.
We are doing the NFC South today. Before we do that, I have a really important question to ask you. What happens when you touch Dwayne Johnson's butt?
I have no idea.
You hit rock bottom. That was pretty good. My wife sent that to me.
Dad joke
my
engaged.
Lovely wife. That was, I mean, technically mom joke, but I'll take it. I said that was good, and she said you're welcome.
Hey,
Dwayne, you're welcome. Yeah, what's up?
I started a new career yesterday.
What was that? Gardening. Can I guess?
Yeah, go ahead.
Professional bowler.
Wii bowling. I'm a beast at. Although Jackson beat me 206 to 200 the other day on Wii bowling.
Hold on. Chicken farming. Is that a thing?
I've been doing that. I didn't start that yesterday.
But is that a career though?
No. It's not a career. You ready?
No. Hold on.
That's
Bodyguard.
your hat.
Oh, DoorDash.
I did start DoorDash.
What's your career? Go ahead. Tell us.
I am officially a T-ball assistant coach.
Oh my goodness. Oh man.
It is something else.
Can I talk T-ball for a second, man? My Avery had her second T-ball practice. They've had a couple canceled for the heat and for rain. She got out there and she had T-ball practice on I believe it was Monday. And she's sharp as a whip. She's actually like pretty good. She got a good arm, hit the ball, catch the ball, everything. But she doesn't know how to pay attention. So she's like off looking at this and a ball pops her right in the head. So I healed Magic Father Powers. I put one ice cube on her head and she goes, it feels better. And she got back out there and it's so fun, but they're just, I feel like they were just kind of like standing around and, so she didn't really like love it, but we got home and practiced a little bit. You just turn it into a game, like all these challenges and stuff. And she's so into it. And, you know how I can get a little animated. It's having a good time.
It was fun until I realized really how out of shape I am right now after all this COVID and working at home every day. And so it was like 108-degree heat index at practice yesterday. It was brutally hot. But so the whole time, it's just me and the head coach. And, we're down on one knee and we're up next to the fence and we're just let the kids hit because we're playing coach pitch. And if they can't hit within 3 swings, they get to go to a tee. There's no outs, which I don't understand. I guess just let everybody hit whatever. But anyways, so I'm kind of on my right knee and my left leg's kind of hold me up the whole practice. Like I'm down on my right knee, throwing, tossing, doing grounders, letting them throw back to me, whatnot. And today my left hamstring and left butt cheek is so sore. I was like, this is pathetic. This is dad life.
You're always going to get the bill, like whatever it is. I call everything. If it hurts next day, you pay for it. Like whatever it is, you will pay the bill in fatherhood. But man, I know it's nothing better than seeing your kids out there doing stuff and being able to coach with them. I did not coach, and I've kind of been like, when I sit there and watch, I'm like, I know because I've coached stuff before, and I'm like, I would do that different. I would do that different. And I have to tell myself, stop. You don't want this. You don't want this heat. You don't want them to be sitting there saying that about you. So more power to you for being able to do it.
I'm not making any drills up or anything. I'm just there to follow directions and then catch the ball from the coach because we don't have a catcher. So I'll get the dust off the old cleats and play catcher.
I'm just here for the ice cubes. That's all. Just one ice cube. Magical healing power.
I may get me a Yadier Molina jersey and wear it for every game and go behind.
There you go. You can be Daddy A Molina. All right. Oh, that was the word. That was worse than the rock bottom joke. Come on.
And speaking of Yachty though, he did sign another year for next year. He'll be back.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff.
He said it's his last year.
Man, I was gonna say I'm gonna miss him, but I'm not. Go Cubs. Well, yeah, So we've this is going to be our 4th episode in previewing the NFL season. We're previewing the NFL season division by division. Today's division is going to be the NFC South, and we're using team win totals gathered from Fanduel Sportsbooks. We're going to give you our over/under picks on those projected win totals, and then tell you what our confidence is in each of those picks. And we'll tell you if there's any division winner bets that we like, if there's any that we like. We did the AFC South earlier this evening. Right now, we're going to do the NFC South, which contains the reigning, defending, make me mad because my team lost Super Bowl champions, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or as Pat McAfee and my brother likes to say, the Tampa Bay Gronkaneers. We're not going to start with them. We're going to save the champs for last. We are going to start with the very interesting Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons come in with a projected win total of 7.5. The over is the favorite on FanDuel, and they have a plus 700 bet to win the division. New coach, new tight end, still them same ugly uniforms that have kind of oddly grown on me. What's your take on the Atlanta Falcons?
So this will kind of go back to the AFC South, what we talked about with the Titans a little bit with Arthur Smith. I think he is he's a great play caller, and I think that's something the Falcons have been missing since Kyle Shanahan left to go to the 49ers. You saw a steep drop-off in their offense and Matt Ryan, and I think that kind of reverses. Matt Ryan's not bad. Like, he's been good his entire career, and he had one really bad year last year. Not even really bad. They weren't a very good team. And a lot of that had to do with fourth quarter, last couple possessions. They had a lot of close games, but they're my sleeper pick this year. I don't know if I'd pick them to win the division. I think that's kind of far off with the Buccaneers. They would need some things to fall their way, injuries to happen, which you never want to happen. But I think they go over 7.5. I think adding Kyle Pitts, even though tight ends don't normally have great rookie years, it's a tough position to learn in the NFL with a lot of different blocking schemes. I don't think he's going to play that much tight end. He's going to line up at wide receiver. Like, I know he's a tight end, but he's Travis Kelce. He's Rob Gronkowski. He's a weapon. So I'm going over 7.5. I think Matt Ryan has a good year. I think Arthur Smith just makes a huge difference for them. I think I looked at it earlier. They had 6 games, I believe, that were decided by 4 or less points.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're a possession away in each game of having a winning season last year and a chance to go to the playoffs. So, I mean, they could have easily been where the Saints were last year. You know, barely squeak in, play the wild card game, whatnot. So I'm over 7.5. I like the Falcons this year.
You know, I said in the last episode the Colts were one of my favorite over/under teams. I really like the over on that one. It's probably my number one over that I feel most confident in. The second one that I feel most confident in is the Falcons at 7.5. Their schedule's not brutal. It's not super easy, but it's manageable. And like you said, I'm in total agreement with you on Arthur Smith. I think they'll get a lot of good things out of Matt Ryan. He got him out of Ryan Tannehill. And I still, to this day, don't think Ryan Tannehill is like a special quarterback. I can think he's a good quarterback who fit into a good system with good talent around him and is able to just be efficient and be like a super game manager, which is what Alex Smith was at the peak of his career. And I think that's what Ryan Tannehill is going through right now. I think Matt Ryan is better than both those guys, both Alex Smith and and Ryan Tannehill. So to me, the ceiling is pretty high if you have who I believe is probably still a top 8 quarterback in this league. I think he's right on the edge of that like sub elite tier. Like it's, you know, your elite guys are Mahomes, Brady, Rodgers, Allen, Wilson. You know, that's probably it. He's probably in the middle of that next tier, you know, which is, you know, your Stafford, those kinds of guys.
Dak,
he's probably right there with
Dak.
Dak. Maybe a little, you know, depending on what you need, a little better, a little worse. I do think he's going to love having Kyle Pitts. I'm not super concerned about the Julio Jones loss. I don't, obviously you hate to lose it, but you offset it with with Kyle Pitts, and I think they're going to use him in such a way that's going to be just awesome. I think Arthur Smith's going to have a field day getting the ball in his hands and in Ridley's hands. Yes.
Yeah. He's a bad man.
Yeah, he's great. They have another guy that I like, another receiver that I like, who I think would be kind of I think there's a chance he has a good year. It's Russell Gage. He's going to be kind of their slot guy. And he had a Pro Football Focus grade of 76.4 last year, which doesn't sound like much, but out of 127 qualified receivers, he was ranked 29th. And that's like a number 2 guy. And they have Zacchaeus on the outside, who's no slouch. When you got a tight end like Pitts, you really don't necessarily need anything.
He's their second receiver.
Yeah, exactly. So you have a 3-headed monster of Pitts, Ridley, and Gage. It's not the names you're used to there, but I still think there's a lot of talent on this roster. The defense is kind of a concern. I do believe that there are some problems on the defensive side, but I think the offense is going to be good enough to make up for it. Oh, and they still have Hayden Hurst too, who I think is a pretty solid tight end himself. He's a tight end 1. Like he should be a tight end 1. So you have a lot of different ways you can line up with this team. And Arthur Smith has shown that he can be creative. I think I said this on the last show. There's a few play callers who I think are just head and shoulders above everybody else. I think it's Andy Reid. I think it's Brian Daboll. I think it's Arthur Smith. I think it's Kyle Shanahan. There's probably a few others in there, but those are the ones that jump.
Head coach
Stefanski. I like him too. Kevin Stefanski. Yeah, I think he's pretty good too. So, I feel like that the play caller is, if it was a position on the field, it's sort of like you got to have the talent, but it's like quarterback, left tackle, D end,
cornerback, coach.
Play caller. Like it's in there among the best, most important positions. I think he can maximize what these guys have. Yeah. One thing you kind of hit on it a little bit. They were 4-12 last year, but their point differential was only minus 18. Mm-hmm. That's not what it should be for a 4-12 team. You'd expect a 4-12 team to be like outscored by 100, 150 points. But the NFL's close. They're just a few possessions away. You mentioned this. I know I watched some games.
They should have beat the Chiefs. Like they should have beat the Chiefs.
Yep.
And they should have beat Tampa Bay at the end of the year.
Yep. They had plays here, and then there's like one against the Saints, I believe, and there's a couple of the games they blew, and it was like Ryan would take a back-breaking sack. He'd take a back-breaking sack. They have a drop, miss a field goal. Something would happen.
Don't recover an onside kick that's spinning in front of them.
Yeah, it's silly stuff, and it's like last year you could see 9 and 7 with just 4 or 5 plays going a different way, which tells you they're closer than you think.
Yeah.
So I am on the over, and I feel pretty confident about that. They're plus 700 to win the division. If you feel gutsy, that's not the worst thing. I think I've seen people do dumber things than that. But I mean, I've seen people do dumber things than a lot of things. So
I don't think they can win the division. Like I said,
no, I don't either. But
the over 7.5 is if we're going to, out of this division, be confident about 1 or 2, this is right there. This is probably number 2 in confidence wise for me.
Here's one that I like from them. Their odds on FanDuel to make the playoffs are plus 200. It's yes is plus 200, no is minus 250. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on plus 200 for them to make the playoffs. So
I would throw some on that too.
I like that. They're going to be on that team. It's kind of like in the hunt all year, and they're going to finish 9-8, 10-7, and squeak in, and then probably get the brakes beat off of in the first round. But that will be a marked improvement over 4-12.
It makes the Kyle Pitts pick look okay.
Yeah, exactly. I'm stoked about seeing Kyle Pitts there. And I think, I mean, what they show with the moves they made is they still think they can win now. They're going to try to maximize these last few years of Matt Ryan before they start kind of thinking.
They have
to.
They
should.
Contract, they can't trade him. You can't release him. So try to win if you can with him.
Let him be the rare guy who finished his career where he started. Yep. And, if he can go out with, making the playoffs a couple of times, like it's not far-fetched to think they're going to make the playoffs. I'm all in on this team, all in. So that was they actually have tied for the lowest projected win total in this division. They're tied with the Carolina Panthers, who are also sitting there at 7.5. Now, I probably should have started with them because they have longer odds to win the division, and their under is actually favored on FanDuel. Their division title odds are at plus 950. Do you have a 10-foot pole you would touch that with?
No.
No, not going to do it.
Nope.
What's your take?
A little bit.
I'll kind of tell you what I think about the Panthers. I feel like they're very similar to, we talked about the Dolphins, and we said there's a huge range of outcomes for this team. I could see them being at best 10-7, because I like Joe Brady as a play caller. Like, he's kind of that next step down after those guys I mentioned earlier. And I don't know what to think of Sam Darnold. I don't know if he was, if it was a terrible situation with the Jets, or if he's, had bad receivers, bad lines, bad coaches. Like, I don't think Adam Gase is as bad of a coach as people think he is. I think he looks goofy and says dumb things, but I don't think he's a terrible coach. So it's hard to judge, because, you need, if your season's going to go well, you're going to need a solid year out of Sam Darnold. We mentioned this with Wentz. We mentioned this with a couple other guys, maybe with Tannehill as well. If Darnold may be one of those guys who is surrounding cast dependent. Like, he's an average quarterback, but if you put him with terrible parts, he's going to be a terrible quarterback. If you put him with good parts, he's going to be a good quarterback. He's going to be whatever is around him. And I hate to say it, but I think the Panthers don't have enough around him. I do like their wide receiving core. I do like DJ Moore. I like Robbie Anderson. I like Terrace Marshall. It's something.
Mike Davis.
Samuel's on the Redskins, and I think Davis is actually on the Falcons. He's going to be their starter.
Are they? I looked at their depth chart earlier. Maybe it was.
It might have been it could have been last year's. Mike Davis is going to be the lead back for the Falcons, and Samuel is going to be on.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
On Washington. I don't know if I said the Redskins. I didn't mean to. The football team. The football team.
Yeah, don't say the Redskins.
The offensive line is one of the worst in the league. And I only have to look at one position to know that. Left tackle, Cameron Irving. This guy is King Bum. He is the bum of all bums. He has climbed Bum Mountain and staked a claim for himself. He is the bum.
What did Tony Allen say? He stole without a mask on.
Yeah.
He got the money bag, stole the money bag without a mask on.
Oh my gosh, man. They always say, like, when in the NBA, when the guy's shooting and constantly missing, he with us. Yeah, Cam is the guy that they say that when they're trying to rush the passer. It's like, if you defensive ends get the lineup against Cam Irving that week, they are licking their chops ready to. So it's going to be a long year for Sam Darnold. They got some young linemen that I think are going to come in, and I don't know. They just seem like the offensive line is brutal, and like their defense might be okay, but it's okay at best. And I just think the offense, without a substantial leap forward from Sam Darnold, I just don't see how they're good enough. I trust Joe Brady to get the most out of them with the terrible pieces they have. But when Cam Irving is your starting left tackle in a good division with good pass rushers, the Bucs can rush the passer. The Falcons maybe not much, but Dean Pease is going to be able to scheme up some stuff. The Saints can rush the passer like crazy. I mean, they might go 0-6 in this division.
So
1-5.
They were 5-11 last year. I know you get McCaffrey back, and this may sound like I'm contradicting myself from the last episode where I said, rave about Derrick Henry and they're going to win 11, 12, 13 games or whatever it might be, probably 11, 12 because of Derrick Henry and how good he is. I get it. McCaffrey is next level. The dude is catch, run. He's just a weapon.
Yep.
Does Christian McCaffrey go from 5 wins to 8 or 9?
No, he goes from 5 to 5. Maybe 6 because you got an extra game.
Do we even know if he's better than Teddy Bridgewater?
I mean, it's a good question.
Neither one of them ever won anything. I mean, Bridgewater did okay with the Saints there for 5 games without Breeze, but so where did they get better besides getting McCaffrey back? I just don't see. I mean, unless Sam Darnold turns into a top 10 quarterback, which I don't think is going to happen, I don't see any way that I'm not going to say don't see any way they get to 8. I'm not confident in the under, which is what I'm taking, but I don't think they're that good. I don't think they're 3 or 4 wins better than last year. I don't either to the regular season. So I would take the under, but They just seem kind of blah. I mean, they just seem like they're there.
That's a fair way to assess them. I mean, if you want to say they added stuff, they added like David Moore as an extra receiver. They added Terrace Marshall, who's a really good receiver in the draft.
And I like Robbie Anderson. I had him on my fantasy team last year.
But I mean,
I
still
do
like
Robbie Anderson, but still, or 2 years ago.
You know what's funny? I was listening to the Pro Football Focus podcast, which I do recommend listening to. They actually had a division by division breakdown. They were doing 2 at a time, but I heard them talk about the Panthers and they mentioned Sam Darnold, and he talked about we think of Sam Darnold as being in this terrible situation with the Jets, like he had a bad coach. What if Adam Gase isn't a bad coach? Like he had a bad wide receiving core. He had Jamison Crowder. He was good. He had Denzel Mims to throw to. He also had Robbie Anderson for a few of those years. Like
I do think one of those Gase is terrible though.
I don't know that I wholeheartily buy that. I don't think he's great or anything. I think the problem in the Jets was the offensive line and then a lack of other weapons. And it definitely wasn't a good situation, but I don't know if it's as bad as people make it. I think it's just like I'm with Sam Darnold. I'm kind of like, show me before I believe. Let me see it first. I'm not going to blindly believe that he's better. There's other guys who I'd actually expect a leap from. Like I think Daniel Jones has a chance to leap forward. I think there's a couple other guys in the league. I could see Burrow leaping forward. I could see Baker Mayfield leaping forward. I just don't
think he's that much better
than
Bridgewater.
Yeah, I don't know that he's better at all. So maybe marginally, there's at least some upside. There's some mystery surrounding it. Maybe. He doesn't throw a great deep ball, but maybe he shows Joe Brady can scheme some stuff.
Team 2 years ago,
I remember
he made the Cowboys look terrible, and so like it's there. I've seen it happen to my team, but it's way too inconsistent. Like there's never been any kind of consistency. Even going back to USC, there's never been any type of consistency with them.
I feel pretty strongly about this under. How about you? Any what's your thought on the?
I'm under, but I don't feel confident, and I'm not betting this one.
I'm not. I haven't decided if I'm going to bet it or not, but I'm leaning towards yes that I'm going to. I think. I just Cam Irving's your starter. Like I've lived that experience. He was the starting left tackle while Eric Fisher was out in the 2019 season.
Secret stuff, and he'll be all right.
It's possible, but I wanted to say this real quick. In the 2019 season with the Chiefs, they were undefeated in games that Eric Fisher started at left tackle. I think they were 5-4 with games that Cam Irving started at left tackle. And this is not to say that Eric Fisher is an amazing player. It's to say that it was just nice when Eric Fisher was there that Cam Irving wasn't. Like it was just nice
I get it. I get it.
Oh, you lived it last year.
I live it with Tyron Smith every year.
Mahomes not broke his ankle, but he sprained his ankle real bad. In a game that I was at, they were playing Houston, I believe. I think J.J. Watt rolled up on his ankle. Well, he only rolled up on his ankle because Cam Irving missed the block. Cam Irving actually rolled up on his ankle when they were playing Indianapolis earlier in the season. Like he's the reason Mahomes was hurt and dealing with that stuff in the first place, and then probably messed up his knee. And that Cam Irving getting out of Kansas City was one of the happiest moments of my Chiefs fandom. Other than like they won the Super Bowl, it's like. Cam Irving left. It's pretty close. No, not that close, but it was nice to not see him there. And I'm sorry, Panthers fans, that you're going to have to deal with this roller coaster. Any further thoughts on the Panthers?
Nah.
Okay. Let's move on to another intriguing team. This division has got the Falcons and Saints to me are really interesting because I think there's a lot of different ways they could go. The next is the New Orleans Saints. They have a projected win total of 9. The under is favored. Their division title odds are plus 330. I want to know what you think about the New Orleans Saints.
I guess you can say this about I feel like I'm saying this every time we talk about somebody. It's like, oh, well, it depends on how Sam Darnold plays. Oh, it depends on how this quarterback plays and that quarterback. They could sneak out an extra 2 or 3 wins. And it just continues to be true.
Yeah.
Because Jameis is going to be the starter. I think if you've ever watched football before and have 2 eyes and pay attention at all, Taysom Hill cannot be your starter, and Sean Payton may roll with them at some point a little bit, here and there, quarterback, just to do some different stuff. But if they want to be a contender, Jameis has to play, and Jameis has to play good. He can throw the deep ball. He was the leading deep ball passer when he was with the Bucs 2 years ago. That's a Bruce Arians thing because Tom Brady did the same thing last year. But Michael Thomas is out till October, and they're not kosher. Like the organization and him are battling back and forth. Their defense has been good enough for the past 2 or 3 years to win a Super Bowl. They just haven't got the play out of Drew Brees the past couple of years. Alvin Kamara is still great, but he kind of fell off last year a little bit. I'm going to take the under on them because I don't believe in Jameis Winston. I think he turns the ball over too much in a game where you value possessions and value the football. He doesn't value the football enough. Maybe he'll change that. I like Jameis. I think his goofiness and stuff is kind of actually likable, So I hope he's good, but I don't see how you go from throwing 30 interceptions to he's got to stay under 15, and 15 is still a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah. I remember him when they beat the Bucs last year and they just obliterated them on Sunday Night Football. They did an interview with him and he gets up to, I guess it's Michelle Tafoya on Sunday Night Football, and he goes up and does a W like this and starts going, starts eating it, eating the W.
Goofy. He knows it was goofy and just terrible. So, but he can make fun of himself. That's why I like it.
I think I think he's only going to have 8 W's to eat this year, though. I don't think he's going to have as many W's to eat as Drew Brees had last year. And it's not all because of him. One, I don't know that he's going to be the starter. I'm telling you what I would, if I'm really debating between the two, then if you feel like there's a chance that you're going to switch from one to the other during the season, then I think I would start with Taysom and then move to Jameis. I think your offense is going to be less disrupted moving from Taysom to Jameis than it is from moving to Jameis to Taysom. And I think where their strengths lie on the offensive side is the line. The line's a pretty good line. It's not amazing, but it's pretty good. It's one of the better. It's a top 5 offensive line, maybe top 10 offensive line in the league. And you're going to see something similar on the defensive side, that they're very strong in the trenches. They're going to be a trench monster. But on the outside, they just don't have the weapons. Marquez Callaway is probably going to have to be the number 1 receiver. I don't know that Michael Thomas ever plays for this team again. I think he could be dealt with the deadline. I think he could just decide to sit out. And
the way the NFL works, though, you basically have to play. You just saw with Aaron Rodgers.
I don't know.
It's different from the NBA. If he sits, I just don't see how they trade him. If they're if they're in it, if they're winning, how do you trade that guy? I don't know.
If he's decided he's not playing and he makes that decision and just says, I'm not playing, period, or I'm not healthy, period. We have ourselves a Kawhi Leonard situation and, I'm not healthy. This is not going right. Honestly, I could see a scenario where they're out of it early. They play the Packers. They go at Carolina, which is a divisional game, and we don't really know what the Saints are. So I think that'll be a competitive game. You're at New England. You get the Giants at home. You hope that's a win. But then you're at Washington. You're at Seattle. The Bucs at home. The Falcons at home. At the Titans. It's not an easy schedule. It's not a cakewalk. It's not the hardest schedule in the league, but it's definitely not easy. They're the reigning they're the reigning division champs, I believe. Because Tampa was a wild card last year, right?
Yeah.
I could see, I think they have an extremely wide range of outcomes because, do they just do the full zig when everybody zags thing, and just play in the trenches and run the ball, with Kamara, with Murray, with any other running backs they have, and throw short passes, or are the receivers better than we think and they can throw the deep ball? I trust Sean Payton's one of those in that group, of great play callers. I do too, but I just in my heart, I feel like there's a shot that this is the year Jameis Winston breaks out.
Yeah.
But I feel a lot worse about it now that he's not going to have Michael Thomas to throw to.
Yeah.
I am reluctantly on the under with them.
I am too.
But this one and the Titans are two that I don't feel great about going under or going over. Either way, I'd be conflicted. I'm not going to bet this at all. I'm not going to bet this at all for the win total, but like I mentioned, their wide range of outcomes. Their division odds are plus 330. That's a good number for a team that went 12-4 last year with old man Drew Brees. So you could talk me into plus 330 for the division. Again, I am on the under, but this would kind of help me on. Yeah, they could still win this division. Like they're good enough.
I'm on the under, and I think like the upside of Jameis, and I think he has to be the one. Taysom Hill, you know what you're going to get. You're going to win the game like 17-14, 17-10. Like it's just going to be, hopefully we can hold on the ball longer than you can and maybe score a touchdown or two and we'll win the game. But I think if they want to be an actual contender for a Super Bowl, which if Jameis is good and can not turn the ball over, they could be because of that defense. So the upside is there. And I don't think their downside's that low. I just think 9's going to be, or 10's going to be hard to get to.
Yeah.
I think 9 is again, that's the reason Vegas puts it out there. I think 9 is the number.
I do too. I think they'll end up 9-8. Like, and if they're over or under, it's going to be their 10-7 to go over or 8-9 to go under.
Yeah.
I still do believe in Jameis. I think Bruce Arians is like the worst coach for him in Tampa. Like that Bruce Arians style offense where everything goes deep and you don't have a lot of pre-snap changes and reads and stuff like that. That seems silly.
We saw it until they started doing that at the end of the year last year. They were, and we'll talk about it here in a minute, but you know, that was that's when it all changed for them last year.
I feel like Tom Brady became the offensive coordinator last year.
Yeah.
Really. And you know, I think the Saints are a lot like their team as a whole reminds me of the Patriots. The Patriots are going to be good in the trenches. They're going to have a good defense. They're going to have a pretty strong running game. The receiving core is not great. Yeah, just they're also have a 9.5 over under.
Yep.
But the difference with them is I trust their quarterback room. I feel like at least one of Cam or Mac Jones is going to be good enough. Maybe not great, but you're probably going to get you're more likely to get you're more likely to get a good enough performance out of those. I think you could get a horrendous performance out of both Taysom and Jameis. I think it's very possible. But I mean, it's hard to bet against Sean Payton. I will not bet this at all. I'll take some on the divisional winner because I think that's just too long for the defending champ.
Stay away.
But I'm staying away from the 9. If I had to bet, I'm taking the under. Any final words for you on the Saints?
Under, but I'm staying away from it.
Yeah, we're pretty much lockstep here. I think the only thing we disagree.
Go with the opposite of what we're doing, and you'll win some money.
Exactly. The only thing I think we disagree on the Saints is who we'd start at quarterback. If it were my team, I'd start Winston. But if it were, any other team, any other team in the league, I'd start Winston. But on this team with the trench, being as good in the trenches they are, Taysom might be.
Hill for so many more things.
I agree.
That makes that team better than him being a quarterback.
Yeah, I could see that too. And they're still like they're going to keep. They said they're going to keep Trevor Siemian and Ian Book on the roster. They're going to keep 4 quarterbacks. That makes me feel like Taysom's not the starter. Yeah, that's just my thought. Because like you said, Taysom can play at so many other things. We're going to close the show with the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Bucs. Man, I'm still trying to get over that Super Bowl loss. Man, a bad offensive line will do you in. I think I've judged a lot of teams by that same model. Learn from the mistakes of the Kansas City Chiefs. A bad offensive line will do you in. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the reigning Super Bowl champions, as much as it pains me to say, have a win total of 11.5 from Fanduel. No surprise, the over is favored here. Their odds to win the division are minus 185. I personally am not touching the division because I do think the Saints are good enough to challenge them for that. If things break well, I could see the Saints winning this division. I could see the Falcons winning this division. I just wouldn't touch it. I do think they'll win the division, but I just wouldn't touch it. I am not a big believer in Bruce Arians as a coach. And we saw that last year. I do think they're probably still going to run some offense like that. I mean, it's all about deep balls and checkdowns. I do think their pass catchers are amazing. We talked about the pass catchers on the Saints, and like Marquez Callaway is the best pass catcher. Well, Alvin Kamara is their best pass catcher. I don't know if you would do this or not, but I'm pretty sure. You just tell me if you would. Would tell me if you would take any of these guys as the best pass catcher on the Saints? Would Mike Evans be the best pass catcher on the Saints? Antonio Brown.
Yes.
Chris Godwin.
Yes.
Gronkowski.
Yes.
OJ Howard.
Yes.
Scotty Miller.
We're talking about Michael Thomas not being there.
Yeah.
And then Scotty Miller would be a toss up.
But probably.
Yes.
I mean,
but probably, yes.
Yeah. So you're like 6 deep. They still have Cameron Brate, Ty Johnson. Oh my gosh, they have Gio Bernard now too. Like,
and you still got Fournette, right? And you still got Jones. I mean, they're just stacked.
They're terrible pass catchers, but that's one. One of the ways I think they'll improve from last year is that when they were throwing to running backs, that was a fool's errand for them because both Fournette and Ronald Jones kind of have hands of stones. Like Gio Bernard being there, Tom Brady is going to freaking love him. Like he is going to be, the James White, Danny Woodhead, Rex Burkhead, Kevin Falk type role on this team. If they run this more like a New England offense that they did toward at the end of the season, I think things are looking up for them. I do think they'll exceed the 11.5. I think the path to 12 wins is going to be more difficult than people think. There were struggles last year, real struggles. Their best football was played at the end of the season, which I think gives us a positive impression coming into this year. But I'm not so sold that those struggles won't pop up at some different times this year. Their defense was excellent in the Super Bowl, but to me, what we saw was a great pass rush going up against the worst offensive line maybe I'd ever seen. Definitely the worst offensive line Andy Reid had coached in Kansas City. I just don't know if this defense is good enough. 12 wins is a lot for a defense. It's okay. Their secondary is nothing special. I mean, and I think in today's NFL, you build from the back forward. They do have a good pass rush, so it can kind of make up for some of the difference. I do trust Todd Bowles as a defensive coordinator. Something feels funny about 11.5. However, I'm going over with them. You don't have to overthink it. They have Tom Brady. Trust Tom Brady. There's a path that is not going well, but I won't bet against it. Real question of the defense, but they have Tom freaking Brady.
Yeah, I'll make this one really quick. It's over. I don't think it's close. Since they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs last year, November 29th, they beat Minnesota 26-14, Atlanta 31-27, and they beat Detroit 47-7, Atlanta 44-27, Washington 31-23, New Orleans 30-20, Green Bay 31-26 in the playoffs, which was closer at the end than it was the whole game.
Yeah.
And then beat Kansas City 31-9. Their offense went crazy when they went to some motion before the snap. I think where you said Bruce Arians isn't a good coach, or not good, overrated maybe in some aspects. I think when you can finally admit you're doing something wrong and it starts working because you're doing something right, you can't go back and go the other way.
Yeah.
They're just the weapons that they have, and
it's
their defensive
crazy.
line is good enough to create a little pressure because their back end is their corners and safeties are where they're going to hurt their secondary. But I think they can get enough pressure. Their linebacking core is good enough. It's Tom Brady. He's not going to let them have a let off after, winning the Super Bowl. They're the champs. I think they win 13. I'm betting this one. This is my favorite bet. This and the Falcons are my favorite bets. I'm going over, and I think it'll be pretty easy. I think they'll go 6-0 in their division.
I could see it. I think they'll lose a couple that you don't expect them to lose. But I think 13-4 is definitely possible. Like if you made me guess their exact record, I think they'd go 13-4.
I mean, they'll start off 0-1, but after that they'll really turn it on.
Who do they play in week 1? I forgot.
Them Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? Did you see the star on Hard Knocks?
No.
Have you seen the video?
No, I have not watched this week's yet.
Go to NFL Network or HBO or whatever and watch the opening scene of the star, their practice facility.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God.
Is it awesome?
Unbelievable.
That's cool.
It awesome doesn't describe it.
I got to check it out.
Their practice stadium holds 15,000 or 14,000
Oh my
or something
goodness.
like that.
Is that the one in Oxnard or is that this one in
one
Texas?
That's in, I think Fresno or whatever. Not Fresno. Whatever that little town.
Oxnard. It's like, is it in California?
No. It's in Texas. It's over there by their stadium, but it's some city almost.
Aren't they
ridiculous?
Are they in California for training camp?
They just do like the first 2 weeks there.
Oh, okay.
They came back after their second preseason game, I think.
I got you.
Usually they play like one preseason game and then come back, but because they did the Hall of Fame game,
I
they were
see.
there for 2.
I see. That makes sense.
Yeah.
If I see a weakness in Tampa, and when you're looking at the defending Super Bowl champs, you're really looking. You have to look closely for a weakness. I do think the offensive line can be had. I don't think Donovan Smith is a great left tackle. Ali Marpet is really good at left guard. Ryan Jensen is he's just okay at center. He's a kind of middle of the road center. Alex Kappa is, okay at guard. I'm not going to overthink this. Ultimately, I think Tom Brady's good enough to overcome a faulty offensive line. As long as they're not brutally terrible, I think it could lead to them taking away, some deep shots. But that might even be better for Tom Brady. The fact that he gets to, throw in that 5 to 20 yard range and instead of focusing on shots down the field. I mean, you think about all this stuff, man. You think last year he played with a partially torn MCL at age 43. Like,
the dude's unbelievable.
He is. We're moving into GOAT, not just in the NFL. We're moving into GOAT athlete territory.
I think he's already there.
I mean, we could have a whole other episode on that, but man, as much as I hated losing to him last year, it's hard not to just sit back and appreciate the greatness that is Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I will never bet against him again, ever. Never doing it again.
And that's why we're taking the over.
Yep, over. When in doubt, don't bet against Tom Brady.
Don't bet against Alabama, and don't bet against Tom Brady.
You rules to live by in gambling, folks.
You never do it.
Well, that wraps up our AFC South divisional preview. We hope you enjoyed it. We've got a few left to do. We've got to do the AFC. This was the NFC South, by the way. We're gonna do the AFC and NFC West, and we'll do the AFC and NFC North. And then closer to the start of the season, we're going to do a team draft where we will take turns picking different teams. We'll draft teams and we'll kind of compare their win totals, how they finish, and we'll maybe come up with some kind of friendly wager for that. Should be a good time. Yeah. Hump, you got anything before we get off here?
Go Tigers, go. And Monty Bates, I know we mentioned it last time, but that's just so cool.
Man.
It's really cool.
And CM Punk. Man.
Go watch it. It's pretty good.
So awesome. I'm looking forward to that too. Got it recorded, ready to go. Oh, and just a little promo here. Eat whole foods, folks. Eat your whole foods.
I'm gonna have to get a donut in the morning. Appreciate that.
Yeah, right. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We appreciate you very much. Have a good one.